What is up guys, Jarv here, back today jumping into Destiny 2. In today's video we're looking at the best sources and methods to farm the Moon and Dreaming City weapons. These are going to be reissued as part of update 3.2.1, so if you want to find out all the best sources and how to get your hands on these fantastic weapons, then be sure to stick around and enjoy the video. If you do enjoy the video, be sure to leave a comment and rating down below, and remember to subscribe for more Destiny 2 content. But without further delay guys, let's jump into the video. Now, upon the launch of Season of the Chosen way back in January, Bungie announced that 4 weapons from both the Dreaming City and Moon were going to be reissued with new perks. But as we find ourselves midway through Season of the Splicer, Bungie has now decided to bring them all back. So upon the launch of update 3.2.1 on the 6th of July, we'll see the remaining weapons reissued, once again with new perks. Now, all these weapons will drop from their original sources, all on their respective destinations, which will mean we'll finally be able to get our hands on the loud Lullaby hand cannon, as well as the very popular Tiger Spy auto rifle and the Twilight Oath sniper rifle. Now, to kick us off today, we're going to first take a look at the Moon weapons, and more importantly how you can get hold of some of the essences, as well as the most efficient way to complete them to get your hands on that sweet lunar loot. Now, to gain access to the Moon weapons, you'll need to unlock the essence quests. These are unlocked as you play activities on the Moon, or you can repurchase them at the Lectern of Enchantment. Now, the Lectern of Enchantment is something that you unlock by completing the Shadowkeep campaign, so if that's not available, then be sure to complete Shadowkeep first, as this will massively help you out when it comes to farming these weapons. Now, in order to purchase an essence quest, you'll need phantasmal fragments, which you can convert into phantasmal cores. Now, phantasmal fragments drop from pretty much any nightmare enemy on the Moon, so you can either run nightmare hunts, or my personal favourite is over in the Altar of Sorrows. Now, the Altar of Sorrows is essentially a huge public event with multiple waves, and each wave spawns many nightmares themselves, and by defeating these you'll get many phantasmal fragments. By completing the final wave, you'll get loads from the final chest too. It's the perfect source for fragments, so if you find yourself low on them, be sure to jump into the Altar of Sorrows to farm out some resources. Now, as for the essence quests themselves, these are needed in order to create armor and weapons. Now, as you play through Shadowkeep, you'll already unlock all the essences for the Dreambane armor, and after finishing the campaign, you'll need to find the remaining essence quests associated with the weapons that you're chasing. Now, as we said earlier in the video, essence quests can be found randomly on the Moon from pretty much any activity. One of the best methods I found was from high value targets. If you can seek out the Trove Guardian each week, he spawns on a regular basis. He's an easy target to defeat, and he will always spawn a chest, and this chest has a very good chance at dropping any of the remaining essence quests. So if you're finding yourself missing 1 or 2 like I am for example, then be sure to farm the Trove Guardian alongside any public events. Now, the essence quests themselves are essentially non-expiring bounties. By simply completing the objectives, you'll be able to hand this in at the Lectern of Enchantment in return for your desired weapon. Now, a lot of these essences do require you to complete activities on the Moon, and virtually anything will grant progress. However, some activities are more efficient than others, so to help you out, I've broken down all the individual percentages. Now, as you can see here, lost sectors and public events are by far the most efficient method on completing any activity requirements on these essence quests. Now, also alongside the lunar weapons, we have the 3 weapons exclusive to the Altar of Sorrow. If you're farming this activity for phantasmal fragments, then you'll be getting a chance at the Heretic rocket launcher, Blasphemer shotgun, and the Apostate sniper rifle. Now, which of those rewards you get will depend on the boss, with Zydron the Gatelord offering the Heretic, Vogoth the Untamed offering the Blasphemer, and Tanix the Scarred offering the Apostate. So not only will Altar of Sorrows grant you the materials you need to farm out the essence quests, you'll also be getting additional drops of the Altar of Sorrow weapons too. And unlike the Blind Well over in the Dreaming City, you can farm this as many times as you like. So that's a quick look on how you can unlock phantasmal fragments, alongside converting those into phantasmal cores, and how you can unlock some of the essence quests if you haven't unlocked those already. Now, this brings us nicely onto the Dreaming City, and also gaining access to the final 3 weapons that are being reprised as part of Season of the Splicer, and this includes the Tiger Spy auto rifle, Twilight Oath sniper rifle, and also the Abide the Return sword. Now, I made a video here on the channel last season covering the best way to farm out the Dreaming City weapons. We're going to recap that in this video, as well as add in some additional sources too. Now, the first person you want to make a visit to every week is Petra Vinge over in the Dreaming City. Her location does change week on week, but her bounties are fantastic sources for that sweet Dreaming City loot. And she will have a bounty for one of the 3 missions on the Dreaming City. This rotates once again week on week, but the rewards are either dark fragments as well as a legendary piece of gear, and this can include weapons and armor. Alongside this, you will always have the War for the Dreaming City. This is a weekly bounty, and you can complete this over 2 days, and by completing 8 daily bounties, you'll once again get some dark fragments, as well as some additional legendary loot. Now, as well as those quests, she has these additional weekly bounties here too. Each week she'll have one for the Ascendant Challenge. Now, to gain access to the Ascendant Challenge, you'll need to use a Tincture of Queen's Foil. If you don't have these, she does sell them in her inventory for Barian Bower materials. Now, the locations for these do change week on week, but each of them, if you can complete them, do offer you legendary gear as well. Now, this gear will drop from the loot at the end of the Ascendant Challenge, and this is in addition to the weekly bounty itself, providing 2 sources by completing 1 Ascendant Challenge. Now, if you do have the Wish Ender Bow, each of these Ascendant Challenges do have some Ascendant eggs hidden inside, so if you haven't claimed all of these are great additional sources for some legendary gear. Now, each and every week you'll also have the Gateway Between Worlds. This is for the Blind Well. Now, for every tier 3 activity completion, this will grant 50% towards this weekly bounty. Now, whilst the bounty itself doesn't grant legendary gear, your first Blind Well completion of the week will grant you a piece of legendary Dreaming City loot. And upon completing your second tier 3, you'll gain access to the Offering to the Oracle. Now, you need to go over to the Oracle engine to hand this in. Now, if you're not too sure exactly where that is, I'll leave the route playing out right now, which will take you straight there. Now, when handing in your offering to the Oracle, you can also receive Purification Ritual bounties. These are additional quests that you can complete during an Ascendant Challenge, and completing these bounties will offer you an additional piece of loot. And finally, in regards to Petrovin, she also has a daily bounty. Now, the requirements for this bounty does rotate day on day, but by simply completing this, you can get easy access to some Dreaming City gear. Now, by completing these bounties, running the Blind Well, and also receiving and completing the Purification Ritual bounty, this can grant you up to 10 opportunities to get your hands on some loot. You can run this on all 3 characters too, taking your total chances so far to 30 per week. Now, completing these bounties can be quite a time-consuming process, especially on 3 characters, but by far the best and most efficient way to get your hands on this loot is via the Shattered Throne. Not only is this a great source for loot, it also has access to some exclusive perks. Now, the Shattered Throne was Destiny's first dungeon and is very accessible, especially at today's power levels. So you can very much either run this solo, but it's much more efficient if you can get 2 buddies together. Now, the Shattered Throne itself has 3 encounters. You have the opening maze section, which will grant you loot upon completion. Then you have your first boss, the Ogre, and by defeating them, they'll grant you some additional loot too. And then the final encounter inside this dungeon is Dal Inkaru, and once again, by defeating her, you'll grant yourself some additional Dreaming City gear. Now, an important thing to note is that these aren't the only sources of Dreaming City loot inside the Shattered Throne. If you complete the Shattered Throne on 3 characters per week, that gives you 9 additional sources based on the encounters alone. So in total, including the Petrovin bounties and quests, this gives you 39 opportunities per week. But one thing that is forgotten and often overlooked inside the Shattered Throne are the 6 chests. Not all 6 of these chests will grant legendary loot. However, at least 2 of these per week will grant you additional sources of gear. So once again, by completing the Shattered Throne and opening these chests on all 3 characters, you have nearly 50 chances per week to get your hands on that Dreaming City loot. And as we said earlier in the video, if you haven't defeated all the Wish Ender eggs, then these again provide only further chances for you to get these legendary drops. Now, to help you guys out, I'm going to leave the footage to all 6 chests rolling from here on out. So if you're not too sure exactly where they are, be sure to use the timestamps in the video description below to jump around and really help you out. Now, if you've enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a comment and rating down below, and remember to subscribe for more Destiny 2 content. I'm going to jump back into the game as always, guys, and I will catch you all again very soon.